You think the Bible, who is so accurate, the Bible is so accurate on so many things. Do you really think witchcraft they fucked up on? Oh, they just made that one up? Or was there something to it? Manny P. Hall and these Freemasons who literally wrote the most influential books of all time. He wrote, magic is controlling the invisible forces of nature, that you can affect the mental plane. That's why for MK Ultra projects where they want someone like Ted Bundy and all these serial killers that are military related, all of them.
Wait, hold on. I'm a little confused. How do we go from black magic to serial killers?
I'm gonna break it down. Because black magic at its highest, most powerful Aleister Crowley level is always rape ritual, sodomy of a little 11-year-old boy of highest intelligence, and sometimes sacrifice, but most of the time it's rape. Why? Because when you rape someone, yes, you fuck their psyche, but when you rape them with satanic chanting and visuals and when you do that to them, you're actually terrifying them so much they split into a dissociative state. And now they go to a happy place in their head to cope with all this. And when they're in the dissociative zombie state, they go like this, and that's when you program them. You say, get up! And the child will listen and repress the memory for decades. Maybe they become like a NFL player or they work at a magazine or whatever. Maybe 10 years goes by and they think this is just a bad dream. You know, they've repressed the memory. I call them. They pick up their phone and I trigger them with the highest level of trauma, the memory of their rape. Get up! And that command puts them back into that zombie state. At that zombie state, they say, go shoot this motherfucking place up. They perfected this in ancient Egypt. In my documentary, we talk about Joe Rogan and all these people who we're talking about Egyptians all day, but we don't know anything about Egyptians. Why? Because they will never tell you that the tomb of becoming a pharaoh as a little boy, you go in with a soul partner. One becomes the philosophical king and the other is sacrificed in front of the other. 10 sages violently rape one of the boys. Everyone in the tribe believes that that boy goes into that tomb and up into heaven, but what's happening is his flesh is being torn. He's being forced to eat his own flesh. He's being raped and murdered to death, and the other boy must stay in darkness for 3 nights and be resurrected, sometimes even 7, depending on which ritual. I'm gonna cover both on my documentary. Why is this so important? Because when someone becomes king and is initiated by these dark sages this way, this king will never, ever turn on the people who have shown them the highest evil of what they're capable of. They always look at those sages as their mentors, their guidance, their gods. So the kings can only be put into power if their mind is dissociated, shattered into a dissociate state, not just fractured, way worse.
And that's only in Egypt.
Well, Druidic practices, it's all over. For example, the best way to not piss away the family's wealth is not to give your fucking kids your $1 billion assets. It's to cut your kid's puppy's head off in front of them and say, do as you're told and become a financier for the Bank of London. And they do it. This is trauma-based mind control that Kay Griggs in my documentary actually exposes. Now, why this stuff's important to me is because I've never read books in my life, but I'm obsessed with power. I want to know who rules me, how they do it, and why. And when I found out that you cannot have a mind slave without the symbols and rituals of Satanism, well then, motherfucker, Satanism became real. It became real. So when you study this stuff, the only conclusion is Christ is king. That if there's people out there using Satanism to keep their fortunes, then the Bible's whole motto of the material world is ruled by the devil, it's actually correct.
So is that why there's like Satanism in music videos and stuff like that and performances?
Yeah, a lot of it is to penetrate the subconscious, the lunar psyche, the female psyche. The male is the active principle that's conscious, right? The solar, and the lunar is when you're asleep, or the opposite of wakefulness. Now, a lot of that imagery penetrates for example, McDonald's, they have red, yellow as their colors because they're penetrating your psyche to make you hungry, correct?
I don't know.
You think if the McDonald's sign was blue, you'd be hungry?
I mean, I kind of go to McDonald's after I'm hungry.
You don't think they choose certain colors to stimulate appetite?
I believe so. In marketing, yeah.
Now, what do you think they're doing with rap? What are they trying to stimulate?
That is true, because I've noticed that a lot more rappers now, they just paint their nails for some reason and they don't know why.
Well, okay, you're missing where I'm going with this. It's not about painting nails. It's about the satanic imagery. Why are they doing it? Because demonically charged music makes more money every single time.
But Tupac was making a lot of money.
And he was what? In a tub naked taking pictures for magazines? Thug life, I guess, right? That's...
But what about the Beatles?
Again, the Beatles, one of their albums was called Past Master, which is a literal Mason level. They said that Christianity will die and rock and roll music will take over. They had Aleister Crowley, the beast himself, on their album covers. The Beatles were the most satanic homosexuals that ever existed.
So people can cast, so you're telling me that there are people that can cast spells and they're Luciferian?
You seen my pickup, when I pick up a girl in 9 seconds on a video, right? You seen how they're like bubbly and ready to come suck my dick? You think I didn't cast a spell in her head with my words? Everyone on earth is, if you don't believe in spell casting, it's because you're a retard, because you're bad at it. You ask anyone who picks up a lot of girls, he knows what he's doing with the tone, not just the words. He knows what he's doing with the harmonics. He knows he's syncing up that resonance, that sound against her heart. Spell casting is everything. Do you think the MAGA chant, Make America Great Again, is not a spell? Bro, people went to jail on January 6th for that spell. Do you know that humans in a protest, why they start rioting, is because they're all that mental plane, all their minds start fusing into a hive mind called a riot. But it's all around one symbol that a sign someone's holding, a spell. Sometimes even a swastika. You hear what I'm saying? If you don't believe signs and symbols are not spell cast, if I can't spell cast the symbol, wear a swastika, go in a synagogue. See if it has any effect. Wear a swastika and go in a synagogue and tell me that that symbol has no effect in other people's mental plane. Do people lose their fucking minds? You're telling me I can't make one spell of a swastika to start a fucking riot? Are you kidding me? Of course spellcasting exists, you fucking retard. Look at you thinking it's Harry Potter.
But I feel like some people say like, oh, well, this isn't based in science and, you know, science this. I hear a lot of people talk about that. So they're like, spells aren't real because it's not scientific.
Yeah, and they told us to get vaccines, and now they're like, hey, my bad if you got a heart attack. Was it the Atlantic or the Washington Post that had an amnesty, and they said, hey, well, we're actually really sorry about all the vaccine stuff we pushed. I guess you just have to forgive us. I mean, your science is changing year by year, and it's always wrong. Remember science? Science was what said switch from eating bacon and eggs in the 80s to eating cereal.